I'm Kara Ray, founder of Ambitious Moms Balancing Business and Babies. I'm a mother, a stepmother to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife and a proud entrepreneur. I'm a mindset coach specifically for mothers who desire to strip the mom guilt and own their ambition in business and family life. The Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast is for the ambitious women and mothers who are ready to rise together and empower one another. Get plugged in each week for unfiltered and uncensored conversations between myself and industry leaders who support you, have unwavering points of view, and empower women to believe in themselves. We will be discussing business, spirituality, energy, strong points of views, manifestation, and what I like to call breaking the stigma topics. Conversations that will no longer be silenced. This is a safe place to reclaim your power of being a woman. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Lauren Megan. And now Lauren is a former health and fitness coach turned mindset coach, and she's the founder of the Divine Sister Society. Megan is passionate about coaching women on how to find their divine soul's purpose and take action and manifest the life of their dreams. So welcome, Megan, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. So Lauren's my first name, Megan's my middle name. I leave out my last name on social media, but it's a common mistake that people have. But thank you for having me, Kara. I'm so excited.
Sorry about that. I did not know that.
No,
and now I get to learn something new.
Yeah, no, it happens all the time. And I keep wondering, I'm like, is this something I should change? Is this confusing for people? So that's okay.
Yeah. Well, this is Lauren, guys. And I told you her middle name.
Maybe I should just go by my middle name from now on.
So before we dive in, I always like to ask a question just to kind of like make things flow a little bit easier and to get comfortable with each other. So what is something that you are currently celebrating in your life right now?
So I guess the biggest thing I'm celebrating is the fact that I am 39 weeks pregnant and I am about to enter this stage of motherhood for the first time. So she's not here yet, but I'm kind of just celebrating and honoring myself for going through like pregnancy and still creating a business and just, going through this huge transition. So that's like my big celebration.
That's an incredible celebration.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait until she makes her arrival because it's such an amazing experience. I know that so many people, like everybody's so different in regards to bringing a child into the world and starting a family, but honestly, it's incredible. So get ready for a wild ride because you're going to think like, hey, I knew this. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm going into it with a very open mind. I nannied for like 6 years. So like I've experienced kids on that level, but I'm like, everything's going to be so different now that it's my own. And I don't know, it's just another journey. It's another experience. So I'm excited. I use the term excited instead of nervous on purpose, but I'm very excited. Yeah.
Okay. So my question for you, so you created the Divine Sister Society, and what was your inspiration behind this? And why did you feel so called to create a community like that for women?
So I've always had a community. When I was a health and fitness coach, I had a community. I taught a lot on like the high fat diet, high fat, low carb. And I had a community in that aspect and absolutely loved running it. And then when I started to transition into more of mindset coaching, I changed the name of the community, but there wasn't like an energy around it. There wasn't like that tribe feeling or that community. So I journaled a lot and kind of like dove deep and was like, okay, what do I want women to get out of this? What is like the end result, the end purpose? And I kept thinking like society, because it's high class. It's like, I don't know, I think of what's the show in New York? I'm having pregnancy brain right now. But oh my gosh, it's like on the top of my head. Oh, what is it? Anyway, it's like a high class show in New York, and like they just, you know, go shopping, and they're just like part of like this really high class community. And I was like, I want like something like that. Like that's what I want the vibe to be. I want it to be like really high class, high energy. And then I'm pretty like spiritual and woo-woo in my teachings and with my clients. So I was like, you know, divine is God's purpose. That's the definition behind divine. And I was like, my soul's mission is to help women truly find their, you know, their soul's purpose. So that's kind of how it all came together. I'm still trying to think of the name of that show. It will come to me later. I want to say Gilmore Girls, but that's not it at all. It's
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl. Yeah, total. Yes. Gossip Girl. Oh my gosh.
I'm literally watching that. So when you're like, it's this high class society and they go shopping, I'm like, it has got to be Gossip Girl, because I am literally watching that series right now.
Yeah. So that's the energy behind it, is just like this feeling that when you join the community, like you're entering into the sisterhood, but it's not just another group. It's a community. It's, you know, this, I don't know, you know, it's a place where you can go and just really like dive. Yeah. And like dive deep into your soul's purpose and just find what it is that makes you unique. Because, you know, that's what I coach women on. So I was like, let's make this a community. Let's make it something other than, I don't know. I felt like my other groups were like very basic, I guess is the best way to describe them. Yeah. So this is the next level. Yeah.
Well, I love it. And I love being a part of the community. I just wanted to know more about the background of it and what inspired you for that. And so I know that you love the power of manifestation. And so some of our listeners aren't going to be very knowledgeable on manifestation, and some of them are. So for our listeners who aren't, can you please explain a little bit about what manifestation is and what it's done for your life?
Okay. So manifestation in the simplest form, I think, is really your ability to create the life of your dreams, your ability to create whatever it is that you are desiring, to bring that into physical form. So whatever that looks like, that can be relationships, that could be money, business, a car, I don't know, a specific shirt, whatever it is, you have the capability to dive deep into yourself and bring that into fruition. So my teachings, though, I think with manifestation, and something that people tend to forget about, is you can't just sit around and hope for something to happen or dream for something to happen. You really do have to take action. And that's like the missing link, is the universe responds to action. It responds to you showing up, especially if you are an entrepreneur and you are in business. You still have to show up. And that's a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, because I was doing all the affirmations, all the visualizations, all the meditations, but I wasn't showing up. And when I started showing up, that's when the clients started coming in. That's when, you know, opportunities like being on podcasts started showing up. So the way I teach manifestation is like, yes, let's have the woo. Like I have my crystals next to me and my essential oils. Like let's have all that, but let's take action. Let's make it something that like we're actually doing. So.
Well, I love that you touched on actually taking action, because I think that's something that people, you know, not necessarily mean to forget, but it's something that they just don't always necessarily do, or they think that they're not capable of doing. And when you take action, like I love when you talk about manifestation, how it's basically like this power that you have within you to create this life. And even recently, because I run a daycare, but it's something that I'm going to eventually step away from, that because I wanted more space and more time in my online business, I literally just received 2 like notifications from parents saying that they were taking their children out. However, and I don't even see this as a negative, I asked for that. Like I actually went out and asked for that, and I've been putting more work into my business. And
And that was effortless. It was just this magic, divine timing that everything is working out so perfectly. And so it does, but you have to do the work. And
Yeah.
that's so, so important that people remember, is that it takes work.
Yeah. And it's funny because kind of touching on what you just said, you know, the universe will, and I say the universe, and I mean God, source, the higher power, whatever it is that you are spiritually drawn to, whatever verbiage that is. To me, it's just a way to describe this energy force that's guiding us. But you know, the universe is going to rearrange things for you. So someone could have taken that situation and been like, oh no, I'm losing out on money, I'm losing out on clients. And you took it as, this is opening up space for me to do what I'm truly supposed to do.
Yes.
So that's so beautiful. I love that.
Well,
I honor you for that.
Thank you. Well, and even I was actually talking to Autumn this morning, and I said, you know, I said 6 months ago, I would have totally went into the lack and scarcity mindset of thinking that I wouldn't have this money. However, I actually feel like I can show up for the programs that I'm launching. I actually feel like I can show up for my clients in such a different way. And so things are going to come back in abundance because I have that energy behind it. And
Absolutely.
so instead of focusing on what I might not have at this very second, I'm trying to focus on all these things that I'm able to attract and in more. And so that is the power of manifestation too, is that it will rearrange your life. And it's like I'm sitting in the back seat just watching everything change around me. And it's one of those where you just need a bowl of popcorn and you just need to watch your life.
Yeah, no, it's so true. You know, it's so true because when I got pregnant, I was in flight attendant training, and I was working with Autumn at the time, and she had just found out that she was pregnant, and we were on a call, and I was like, I think I'm going to be pregnant. I was like, I have this weird feeling like I'm pregnant. And she's like, okay, well, we'll just wait and see, you know, what happens. And sure enough, midway through training, I took a test and I was pregnant. And I had a choice to make. And it's funny because I ended up leaving because I didn't want to like fly and be away from a baby. But I kept thinking about it like weeks later, and I was like, I manifested this because I always said that I wanted to stay home with a baby and work my own business. And that is exactly what the universe gave me. You know, being a flight attendant wasn't my passion. I did it because I had friends doing it, and I was like, oh, that seems it was like the shiny object over here that was kind of derailing me from my real purpose, my real goals. And yeah, so I think, you know, getting pregnant and having this baby, it just like put me on the right path, because now I show up so much stronger in my business, and like things are just, like you said, it's like I'm just watching things unfold exactly as they should, you know, but it was so messy. It was so messy. I was so scared for the longest time. I was like, what is happening right now? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, I definitely went into like this victim lack mindset. And now I'm like, you know what? The universe is giving me exactly what I asked for. Let's do it. Like, let's work with it. Thank you.
Yes.
More, please.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. More, please.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think people get caught up in the fact that the universe is not doing something to like deter you from where you're supposed to go. Like things happen for a reason. And sometimes I was actually reading this the other day where these things will start happening and you'll feel overwhelmed by everything that's kind of changing and moving around you, that you'll feel like it's almost like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And you'll feel like maybe this isn't the road. But right behind that fear is complete success, and that you are so close to that point of just continue through and just keep moving through, because 2 years down the line, you're going to look back at that scenario and think, why did I think that was so hard?
Yeah.
Why did I overthink that? Because it's going to look so minuscule.
No, it's totally true. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that you are given obstacles, you are given hard times for a reason. And like, it's funny because just yesterday I went live in the Divine Sister Society and I shared about like overwhelm. And, you know, I kind of touched on that point. Like, you're given things for a purpose. You're, you know, everything. If you choose to look at it that way, you can definitely go into the mindset where you are playing victim and you are living as a victim. Or you can choose to look at hard times and hard circumstances and be like, okay, how can I grow from this? How can I thrive from this? What is the lesson to be learned? And that's something that, you know, and I'm sure you've done this too, like that's something that we have made like these conscious choices to look at life, because it's a hell of a, sorry if I cuss, but it's a heck of a, okay.
It's uncensored, so you're good.
Okay, good. So it's a hell of a lot easier to be like, oh my gosh, why me? Why is this happening to me? Instead of looking at a situation and being like, how can I grow from this? How can I learn from this situation? What is the lesson to be learned? So kind of off on a little tangent, but
that's okay. But you touched on that there's always a lesson, because there is, you can either be in this mindset of not being open to learning from that situation, or you can be open to receiving all those lessons that it's giving you, because then that's going to give you more knowledge for later down the road. I know that before I was always closed off to things that were changing and moving around in my life, that I never looked at the lesson, and it kept showing up and showing up and showing up stronger, because there's a reason why you're supposed to learn this. There's a reason why it happens. And it happens all to prepare you for what is to come. And so I'm a firm believer on that too.
Yeah, I love that.
So in regards to, because you were talking about spirituality, manifestation, and the Divine Sister Society all coming together, what is something that you ultimately strive for in your business? Like, what is your end goal, I guess?
Oh, this is a tough one. I don't know if I have an end goal. Like, I know that sounds really weird, but I feel as though my business, especially right now, it's ever evolving. Like, there's no end goal. You know, I see myself having certain courses and programs that are attached to my name and my brand, like things that make me, and that's really what I've been focusing on, is how can I be unique in this space of mindset coaching and spirituality coaching and life coaching. You know, it's kind of popular right now, especially if you are a coach. You get like pulled into all these other coaches, and you see these programs, and they're beautiful programs. The coaches are amazing, but my mission right now is, how can I share my uniqueness? How can I show up in the most authentic way? So I've had to unfollow a lot of coaches, not because I don't love them, not because I don't respect their work, but because I have to have tunnel vision right now. Yes. I have to get really clear on my purpose. And then obviously I work with, you know, one-on-one clients, which I absolutely love. But I don't think I necessarily have this end goal. I think, you know, my business is going to be constantly evolving and changing. Eventually I would love to host retreats. Eventually, like, I would love to launch my own podcast. Like, I have a list of things that I would love to accomplish when it comes to my business. But I think right now my main focus is really getting clear on my authentic message and my voice, and figuring out the best way to share that with my audience so that I can serve them. Because at the end of the day, that's what I always ask. I say, how can I show up? How can I serve the woman that I'm meant to serve? Because it's not about me. Like, this is not about me. This is about the woman that I am meant to facilitate breakthroughs with, to help them grow their own business, to help them create financial freedom, whatever it is that they are trying to achieve in their life. That's my soul's mission, but it's not about me. So sometimes it looks a little slow. I think a lot of times in the entrepreneurial world, we're like, oh, things have to happen so fast. But sometimes we have to slow down and be like, okay, like, what is it that we're really trying to achieve? Because if you launch a course or you launch a program and you're just like not there, and it's just like your energy's not behind it, kind of like how I felt with my group before changing it. Like, if my energy's not behind it, you're not going to sell anything, you know, or you're going to show up and like it's super half-assed and people feel that energy.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't think I have an end goal. I think I just have an ultimate goal of serving women and helping them, you know, create the mindset. Because I think it's funny because I was talking to my boyfriend, Justin, this past weekend, and he's like, you're a mindset coach. And I was trying to hide behind like spirituality and all this other stuff. And he's like, you're a mindset coach. There's a reason why you switch from health and fitness coaching. He's like, you realize that you can have the best programs, you can have the best, you know, health regimen, the best plans, the best supplements. But if your mind's not behind any of this, if you don't have the right mindset, when shit goes wrong, or you have a lot of family drama or whatever it is, or it's the holidays, if you don't have the right mindset, everything's going to fall away.
Yep.
Nothing's going to change. So, yeah, there's a lot I'm experiencing with pregnancy and with the baby. I feel like I'm experiencing a lot. They say you get reborn when you give birth. And I feel like I'm in the process right now of being reborn. Like as I'm birthing life into this world, like I'm also being reborn, which is super powerful. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And
Yeah.
so I love that you touched on that there isn't necessarily an end goal, because I believe as an entrepreneur, we don't have this one final goal, because we continue to evolve, like you said, and we continue to have the next goal, and we crush those things, and we continue to move forward. And so as an entrepreneur, it's important to have your goals and your priorities set, but there's not necessarily an end game. Like knowing what your niche is and knowing who you serve, and those things are important to know. But I like that you asked that, because it's kind of like a trick question, but you answered it so perfectly, because we don't have this like end goal. Like it's just this ever evolving, because we can change directions at any given moment. And so
Absolutely.
I think that's important to touch on.
Yeah.
But in regards to, you know, you're talking about crystals and oils and stuff. What is, if you don't mind sharing, like something about your spiritual practice? Like, do you have a spiritual practice every day that you go through, that you lean towards, something that just makes you feel centered and ready to show up for yourself or for your clients?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I used to be very strict with my spiritual practice. I used to think I had to wake up every morning, and my first hour of the day it consisted of meditation, affirmations, journaling, visualization, all the things. And when I got pregnant, a lot of it changed because I didn't have the energy. Like my first trimester, I was sick first thing in the morning. So, and then, or I'm just like tired, or I'm like on a weird sleep schedule because, you know, when you're pregnant, you wake up to go to the bathroom a lot, and you just, I don't know, your body's just off. Like your body really is not yours during pregnancy. And then, so I've changed my spiritual practice. I do still meditate every day, and that looks different. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's like a really deep 20-minute meditation, kind of whatever my body, you know, feels called to do. Like I'm very like aware now that like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I think a lot of times, people are like, am I meditating the right way? And it's like, well, there's no right and wrong way to meditate.
No.
The goal is to feel better after you do it. So I do try to meditate every morning. I obviously know that like in a couple weeks, that might look a little different, you know, I don't know what, you know, I might be breastfeeding with a baby meditating for like 2 minutes, you know, I'm not 100% sure what that looks like. But I do just try to have like a moment throughout my day where I just calm myself down, ground down. I will say my root chakra is my most closed chakra. So I don't know if your listeners follow chakras, but they're like your energy source throughout your body. And the root one is really for like grounding. And that's like where you have, like if you have money issues, that's where that comes from. So I try to ground down, but it's also where I'm the most resistance. So some days, like I swear I'll have my feet on the ground and I'll be meditating, and it's like my whole body tightens up because it's like, we don't like this, you know, like, so, but I still implement that practice because obviously it's something that I need the most. You know, my third eye, I've gone to a psychic just to get even more woo, but I went to a psychic and she's like, your third eye doesn't close. It doesn't blink. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. She's like, it's just so open. You need to like ground down and chill out. And I'm like, okay. And then I utilize crystals kind of throughout my business and just throughout my life. I always wear a rose quartz because it opens up your heart. And it just kind of allows you the space to basically let love in. And that's like the ultimate driving force, I think. I think it should be the ultimate driving force, I should say, for a lot of us. And then I usually like just kind of pick out like what I have. Like I have a moonstone next to me. I'm actually not the best with the names. I have a guide that I follow, but right now for the podcast, I have a lot of crystals that I know will help with like communication and opening up my communication chakra. And yeah. And then essential oils, kind of the same thing. I let my intuition guide me and tell me what I need with that. So everything for me, it's not like set in stone what I use and what I don't use. It's more like, okay, what do I feel called to using today? What do I feel called to practice today?
Yep.
I have like affirmations on my phone that I had previously recorded, like myself talking. So I'll listen to those throughout the day. I listen to like binaural beats while I'm working, or if I really need to get focused, or like if I'm just like kind of hanging out, like, so I do different things, but it doesn't look the same. Like, and I think that's the beauty of it. Like, it doesn't have to look the same or be perfect. It just kind of depends on what I feel called to do. I do journal a lot, so that's a big one, but yeah.
Well, I think that people get overwhelmed. They have this idea that when they start a spiritual practice or they start a self-development practice, that it has to be XYZ, like this exact specific thing that they do at the same time every day. And that is not what it has to be, because if you're putting so much, what is the word I'm looking for? Because it's not coming from a space of excitement or love or nourishment for yourself. You're basically going at a space of, I have to get this done. It's like that hustler type A mode where you're like, nope, I told myself I was going to do this, so I have to do this. But I was finding myself very overwhelmed because I was doing that in the morning, where I was like, okay, I'm going to journal. I'm going to write down my affirmations. I'm going to put some like essential oils in. I'm going to do all the things in the morning. And then I started resenting it. I started not wanting to do it in the morning, and I started just feeling frustrated. And then it felt like a job. Like it felt like it is something that I just had to do to make myself feel better, but it was actually doing the complete opposite. And so now I love that you say that you do things like throughout the day, like when it feels right to you and when you feel called to do it and you trust your intuition. I do the same thing with oils. And when I first heard about that, so I was talking to my Autumn about oils, and she's like, yeah, I just choose whichever one I want to use during the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? She's like, just let yourself choose. And so I started doing that, and it's worked perfectly. I've ended up picking out things that some of them I'm like, really? I need that today? Okie dokie.
It's this fear of not trusting yourself. It's this fear that we don't, it's going back to your, we have inner wisdom. We're constantly being guided. And a lot of, I think in Western society, we've been taught to ignore that intuition. We've been taught to ignore that gut feeling. But we've been taught to have strict rules. We've been taught to do things a certain way, like go to school, get a job, have a family, like it's supposed to look a certain way, and it doesn't. Like, it's not supposed to. Your life can be a little messy at times. But just trusting yourself to know that you know exactly what you need at the right time and in the moment. And that's what I've had to learn to do, what I've learned to do. Like, I don't go into a crystal shop and say, oh, I'm looking for amethyst. I will just go into a crystal shop and walk around and pick something up. And then afterwards I'll read what it is that I picked up, without judgment, because maybe what I picked up is like something that I'm like, wait, are you sure I needed this? And probably, it's like ultra protective, negative energy blocker, whatever it is. But I don't know. But I think that's the beauty of finding a spiritual practice. I think everyone should have a spiritual practice. But it should feel really good to you. And I actually have stopped teaching people, my clients, and in my Divine Sister Society, that's one thing I won't touch on. I will share things, I'll share the information,
Yeah.
but I will not tell them like these are the steps. Does that make sense? Because
100%, because it's
yeah.
so unique. Everybody's so different and everybody needs something differently. And I love that you touched on going into a crystal shop and choosing what you just feel called to choose, because I remember Autumn actually challenged me to go into a store and just like with no obligation, with no like checklist of what to get, and just to go in and grab what I felt called to grab, and ended up walking out with everything that I needed and more. Like it was amazing. And I feel called that I have to go back and do it. But in regards to spirituality, I feel like it's really coming back in full force. Like people are actually being more open to talk about it, and they're not feeling so closed off. There's so many people who are open to entrepreneurship instead of going to post-secondary and having to get this job and having to have this perfect picture family, because that's not the way that life is. And we can create the life that we've exactly dreamed of. And so it's just, I like that you touch on all of those things, because it's so important that it's just your life and it's your choice and you get to do what you want to do. You just have to trust that. Like,
yeah, I think that's the power.
Yeah. So in regards to, because we're talking about crystals and all the woo-woo, because I love this and I love that you
Me too.
do you follow like the full moon? Like, is that something that you follow?
I follow all the moon, all of it, all the stages. I actually so I started with the full, it's funny. So I've always had this entrepreneurial itch. And lately I've been journaling and kind of it's been coming up to me in meditations. But my first business that I ever wanted to start was a blog called Lunability. And it kind of like fell away because I had a lot of fear, but I like wanted to start this like 5 years ago. And it was all because of the moon, and, you know, Luna means moon in Spanish. So like, I've always been drawn to the moon's energy, and, but I've been very kind of what you just touched on. Like I've always been a little fearful of sharing this part, like sharing the spiritual and like the woo and the hippie and like all the like kind of, you know, people think it's like, some people think it's black magic or like,
I know.
They're very fearful of this.
Yes.
And I was raised Catholic. So like this, you don't touch on this. And so, but recently, and I think because I pushed myself to enter into this world of like coaching and I stepped away from health and fitness coaching, it's funny because I stepped into coaching 2 years ago after having a breakdown on a run with my boyfriend. And he was like, you need to be a life coach. But I didn't hear that. I just heard, you need to be a coach. And I signed up as a health and fitness coach and an MLM because that was safer. And I wasn't very, it wasn't aligned with me. So it didn't work out. And then I tried coaching nutrition in another way. Still didn't work out because it wasn't aligned. Yeah. And of course I got pregnant and everything changed. And I was like, I'm going to step into this space of like mindset and like essentially life coaching and like, you know, doing all these things. I don't necessarily like the term life coaching. I don't know why, it just doesn't jive with me. So I really like mindset coaching because I think it's like a little bit more powerful. But when I stepped into this space of like mindset coaching and I started connecting with other coaches, I was like, oh my gosh, everyone loves the moon. Everyone, like, I don't have to hide this anymore. Nope. And it's funny when I started sharing it like on my social media, and I'll share like my full moon rituals and the new moon rituals and all this stuff. And like, I'm just like, well, people might think I'm crazy, but whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm attracting the right women to me. You know, I'm attracting who I need to attract anyway. Like I feel like I reconnected with the moon's energy, and it's kind of funny. So Elliot's is my daughter's name, and she was conceived on a full moon. And we found out I was pregnant on a full moon. We took the pregnancy test, and her due date is the day before a full moon. So we're like, I personally believe she's going to come. I could be wrong, but I personally believe she's going to come on the full moon. But yeah, like my business tends to flow with like the moon cycle. when before I got pregnant, like my periods were very much in tune with the moon. And it's kind of funny because I was on the full moon cycle, and then I switched to the new moon cycle, and I reached out to Bianca Pennington, who's like all about like the cycles, and she just is like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to like the female sexuality and like sensual energy. And I reached out to her. I was like, hey, so like my period just switched from like the full moon to the new moon. And she's like, oh, you're about to birth something. She's like, it could be a baby, it could be a program. And like, obviously it was a baby. But yeah. So I'm a very firm believer that, especially as women, we are guided by the moon. Like I truly believe that we are guided by the moon's energy, and it is the most beautiful thing, because I was listening to one podcast, and this woman, I don't remember her name, she put it so beautifully, but she's like, how can you believe that the moon guides the tides, yet you don't believe that it guides you? You know, like it guides the water on earth, which, you know, most of the earth is water anyway. And we fail to believe that like it's not guiding us when we're made up of water as well, you know. So it's the same energy. So yeah.
I remember I just had this moment of like, yeah, because I watched this documentary in regards to animals and turtles specifically, and actually how turtles follow the new moon cycle, like the moon cycle, and how when they actually go to lay their eggs, and in regards to the water and how the water moves, they actually follow that, and that's when they do that. And so I love that you touched on that, because it's not just like the water, it's like everything around us is followed by those energies. And I also, because I've talked to so many people who are skeptical in regards to like crystals or oils, or that it's like the devil's work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can it be the devil's work if it like provides so much beauty and abundance? Like it
comes from the earth.
Yes, right?
It comes from the earth. Yeah.
And so I've been more curious about the moon cycle and how to learn about those. And like, because I have a crystal book too, so I don't know all the names of them, but I've become more in tune with wanting to know more about all these things. And so I wanted to know if you followed that, because I'm also curious about learning more about the moon. And because I also now I follow the new moon and putting my crystals outside and everything, or like the full moon and allowing them to like re-energize. And so I'm following that, but I just want to know so much more in regards to the moon cycle. So I love that you touched on that.
Yeah, just like a little quick breakdown. So when you have the full moon's energy, it's usually for like 2 days. You get that the new moon energy is usually for about 2 days. And that's really when you set your intentions. That's when, because it's a new beginning. And that's when you set your intentions, what you plan on manifesting for the next, 28 days or so. And you get clear on that energy. So that's a great time for you to set goals in your business. A lot of people think like the first of the month you should be setting goals. No, not necessarily. Like, honestly, that stresses me out, because like that's like a deadline, and I don't like deadlines like that. So the new moon is a great time to set like your intentions, like whether it be income goals, whatever programs you want to launch. Usually most people feel pretty energized around the new moon. Like it's a very energizing time. And then with the full moon, that's when you clear out any negative energy. So you're letting go. And that's usually like 4 days worth of pretty intense energy. That's when you tend to feel pretty drained. I wouldn't suggest launching anything. I would just like kind of honor yourself in like that, time period. But that's like when it's great to like set your crystals out and recharge them. And then, kind of like use sage and, like clear it all out, and just, do a little meditation, take an Epsom salt bath. I'm like big on Epsom salt baths, because Epsom salt alone like detoxifies your body.
Yep.
So it's releasing yourself of any like toxins that you've built up. I'm pregnant, so Epsom salt baths are awesome. My favorite thing in the world. But yeah, so that's like my very basic guidelines for like honoring the moon's energy. So with a new moon, you're setting your intentions, you're setting your goals, you're, you know, writing down your manifestation. I love to do this exercise where like I basically write out who it is like who the woman is I need to become to be the woman I want to become. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, did I say that right? Yeah. So I write out like what are the things I need to do to become the woman I desire to be, you know, and like really get clear on that. And then with the full moon, I just release any energy and like any cords that have been weighing me down. So like I'll do sometimes like a cord cutting meditation, which is super powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit in regards to when you were talking about a little bit of overwhelm and feeling that comparison where we kind of get stuck on this comparison train.
Yeah.
And especially because myself as a new coach, I'm blown away by this community and the amount of people that are surrounding me and that I'm connecting with and knowing, and that it started to become extremely overwhelming. And I felt like I wasn't doing enough, or that I wasn't being enough, or that I wasn't showing up in this space. And so I had to actually do quite similarly the same thing that you did. And I needed to be very clear on why I was feeling this comparison and what I felt that I was lacking compared to somebody else. When in reality, when I started talking to more of these women, they were also struggling with things that I've never seen. And so social media has this great way of like hiding everything about a person. And so I'm really firm on being a woman of integrity and showing people even all the darkest sides. So when I go live, sometimes my hair is wet because I come out of a shower, or my children are screaming in the background, because that is my life. My life is not perfect. And to some people, that's going to piss them off. And that's fine, because those are not the people that I want to surround myself with. But I had to do the same thing where I was like, I need to, what did you say? Like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. To like tunnel vision in on what I actually wanted to, like, authentically who I was going to show up to be, and not be influenced by like all these other people. And so I really honor the fact that you also did that for yourself, because your clients and the people that are going to be attracted to you are going to appreciate that. And it's just showing them that they can do that they can literally tunnel vision in, and that what they are capable of doing and the message that they have is more than enough. It's way more than enough. And so it's extremely empowering to people to know that you have a healthy boundary. Like, that's a healthy boundary that you've placed for yourself so that you can be more abundant in all these different areas. And so,
yeah, you know, I see it a lot with network marketers too, because I think when you join a network marketing company, you're kind of told like duplication. It's very easy to duplicate.
mm-hmm.
And I work a lot with network marketers on a one-on-one basis. And my goal is always to have them show up in the most authentic way, to like teach them that, you know, they're not necessarily the product that they're selling. They can love the product that they're selling, but, you know, you're creating a brand, you're creating, you know, something very unique. So I have them unfollow like their uplines and like unfollow other coaches or other promoters in their company, because it's so easy to be like, to wake up in the morning and be like, oh my gosh, they're posting all this stuff, I need to post that. And I know what that's like, because I've been there. You know, I've like woken up and like I've seen my upline who gets like 150 likes within the first hour of posting, and I'm over there with 2, you know, like I've been there. You know, and then I also think it's so important, you know, you can't compare your day 1 or your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. Like, you just can't do it. And then it kind of gets back to like this timeline, like, you know, all of our journeys look different, you know, so my timeline is not the same as yours. You know, I do believe that like if you put in the work and if you, you know, show up on a day-to-day basis and you're consistent, you're going to get there. Like, eventually you're going to get there. But it doesn't all have to, you know, look the same. And like you said, you don't know at the end of the day what someone is struggling with. You don't know if this coach who had this amazing post or went live didn't get off that live video and break down crying because she thought it was terrible, or because she didn't hit a goal. Like, you don't know what any of this looks like. you know? So yeah, I just think it's so important, like, to take a step back and just say, okay, how do I need to show up today? What do I need to do? And that's it. Like, stop, don't worry about everyone else. Like, it's okay. We're all gonna get there.
Okay, I like that. Because it is. We all are going to get there, and we're all going to get there because I've also realized I can't compare myself to somebody's chapter 20. And of course, there's days where I sit there and I'm like, when is it going to happen? But I know that it's going to happen at the right time. That if I continue to put in the work and I continue to show up, because as an entrepreneur too, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily understand this journey that I'm on, and they don't need to understand. And people were expecting me to justify what I was doing. And you don't need to justify your life to anybody. You don't owe an explanation to anybody about what you're doing and how you're going to get there. And so I believe just being an entrepreneur, you really get to know yourself on such a different level. And you become more capable of having like these tough conversations and moving through things and connecting with other like-minded women who have also moved through those things. So just making sure that you're showing up as yourself, because I remember for a long time where I didn't show up as me, and that was just so wrong. And so now I just feel much better being in a place where if I'm going to show up on here with you or anybody else, this is how I am in person. Like, I can talk like this and jive like this and ask questions and be there and be very open and honest. And this is who I am. And I don't want other people to think that if you saw me, say me and you met in person, this is exactly how I'd be.
And you should always be the same as you are on social media, like the same person. Because I've met people that a lot of so we lived in Denver for 3 years before we moved back to Tampa, and we just recently moved back to Tampa, but I'm originally from Tampa. So a lot of my followers are from like this area, and I'll see them out, and like, I hope like every time I see them, they like see the same person. And I would say that they do, because they come up to me and like will talk to me, or like some of them will message me later and be like, hey, I saw you were talking to someone else. And like, I'm a very upbeat person. Like, I'm constantly like, I swear Justin like looked at me one day and he was just like, you just like are always happy. And I'm not always happy, but I try to see the good in just about every situation. Like, it takes a lot for me to, I will say now it takes a lot for me to get very like negative or like mad, or like when that side comes out, it's not very pretty. So I try to, like take a step back before I get to that point. But like, I just always hope that people see, me for who I am. And I always know when I'm not showing up in an authentic way. Like, I always know, because I don't know, it's just, everything's energy. And I just feel like, when you started showing up in a more authentic way, like you started attracting the right woman to you,
Yes,
and
I did. It was when I became
beautiful.
Really, like, crystal clear on who I wanted to serve, why I wanted to serve, not just because I was picking out of like this random list of who. I was like, no, I'm not here to serve everyone. And this is my mission. And this is what I really, truly believe in. And I started attracting more people onto my social medias, and I started coming up with content. I remember sitting there before wondering, what am I going to post? And someone said this beautiful thing about, you are living, breathing content every single day. And you really are. So I literally, when I sit down at my computer, I've gotten to this space where I'm like, whatever comes to my mind is what I'm writing out. And I literally trust in that. And I end up reading it after, and I'm like, oh girl, that's good.
No, it's true, because you're aligned, you're connecting yourself to the higher power, you're connecting yourself more deeply to your soul's purpose. So it just flows. Like, you'll have some days, but like, I keep everything on my notes, because I don't know, be sitting on the toilet thinking about it, or like be driving. No, I'm not driving, texting, but I'll I don't know, be outside of my chiropractor appointment, and I'll be like, oh, this is a good post. And like, I have like 50 posts like started, and then like, I'll go through and like be like, okay, what do I need to change? And then, but it's funny, like, yeah, when you step into that space, it's like things just flow, like your live videos, you just kind of know like how to show up, and you just it just makes it so much easier. It's so much easier to be you than it is to be someone else.
Yes.
You know, like you are you. Like you don't have to be anyone else.
No.
Like you're so perfect just the way you are. And I think a lot of times, especially on social media, like it's so easy to want to be someone else. Like I used to do it all the time when I was in like the health and fitness world. And it's like, I don't know, like I was never okay with posting half naked pictures of myself on social media. Like that didn't jive with me. And every time, like I would even like post a picture kind of like that, like where it was like a little like I'm a firm believer that like my sexuality and like that sexual part of me, like it's very intimate between, you know, me and my partner. I don't want a bunch of weird guys commenting on my pictures, you know? So, you know, so like to me, like I always felt like really weird about that. And I could never do it. And I always wonder, like, maybe that's why I didn't like blow up in like the health and fitness world. But I'm like, even if I did like start posting like bikini pictures and all these like really sexy images, like would I have felt good about it? Probably not. You know, I might have had like 14,000 followers, but I probably wouldn't have, you know, felt really good about it, because that's just not my personality. That's not who I am. I'm a very like, I don't know, like, yeah, of course I love like wearing sexy dresses and doing all that stuff, but I don't think the world needs to see it, you know? Like, but I don't know.
With you, so
yeah, and that's my personality. Some women are totally okay with it.
Yeah,
and I think
and I respect that too. Like, but it's not what feels good to me. Like even my husband is very much of, when it comes to like sex, sexuality, anything between intimacy between him and I, it's like, it's not something that we're hush-hushed. Like if somebody was to ask us a question, we're very open to talk about it, because we both believe that if you're having it, you should be able to discuss it.
Yeah.
But we also know that like our sex, our intimacy is means a lot to us. It's a very connecting thing together. And we've had those discussions where it's not something that we don't care about, that we don't value. It is something that we value together, and it's this special connection that we get to share together with nobody else. And so,
and that's the beauty of it. So yeah, I just, I don't know. I think it's just so beautiful when you just show up as yourself, and you're just, you know, I don't know. I'm a little weird. I'm like awkward. So I've learned to embrace that. And if you watch my Instagram stories, you will get a taste of that. Like I've gotten very good at not like erasing the stories. Like I used to be like, oh, that didn't look good. That's not good. Now I'm like I think yesterday, like I totally blanked on what I was saying. I was just like, I don't even know what I'm here for right now. Like, I don't know, but I'm here, I guess. Or, you know, like that's okay. But that's like where I'm at. I mean, I'm 39 weeks pregnant, and I like space out, and like I'll be on coaching calls, and luckily I work with some amazing women, and I'll just be like, wait, what were we just talking about? And it's not because I'm not in tune with them. It's literally because my brain like just shuts off, and it's just like, you're about to have a baby. You forget that for a second, you know? So I don't know. Yeah.
I think in regards to showing up, like I made this commitment to myself. Originally I started with like 7 live videos, and then I was going to move into like 21. Well, then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live every single day for the next year. And I think I'm on like day like 30 something now. And it has done a lot for my confidence and showing up, and knowing that I can show up with messy hair, don't care, in my bed or in my PJs, making breakfast, like my life, because that's what I strive for people to know. And so the message behind it is not that people have to be on social media every day, but that I'm a human. I'm not a robot, and I'm human. And so I can still show up for my business sitting in my PJs. Like on this podcast right now, I'm in a sweater and my pajama pants with a blankie, because
I love it.
Literally blankie, and I've got my pajama pants, and I've got coffee, and I'm in my zone, and I'm comfortable. And so, and that's what I think people forget, is that, guys, I'm in my PJs. Like this is what I do. And it's not because I'm like, I didn't want to get dressed this morning. This is what I'm comfortable in. And working from home, I get to do what I'm comfortable doing.
Exactly. No,
I'm
it's
not gonna hide the fact that I'm wearing PJs.
yeah. And you're like, but you're doing the thing. Like you're showing like, you know, you're about to launch a podcast and it's going to be beautiful and amazing. And, you know, you're giving women like this experience, and you're also giving them permission.
Yep.
You know, by you showing up in this way, you're giving the mom who does not like think she has to be perfect because that's what she sees on Instagram and Facebook, and, you know, the perfect hair. Like, I'm pretty sure I go days without brushing my hair. I did brush it today, but I haven't done anything to it. But it was like knotting in the back. You know how
Yes.
you get like natty. So I did have to brush it because I couldn't run my fingers through it. But like, you're giving that mom permission. And like, honestly, I'm so excited to share this because I can just see myself like being on coaching calls, like breastfeeding, or like, you know, going live, and then like all of a sudden there's a baby crying and I'm just like, okay, pause. And then like, you know, having to nurture to my baby. But it gives women permission. Like, I am now attracting a lot of new moms, like younger new moms, and I'm like, I'm gonna show you guys it does not have to be pretty, and it probably won't be pretty.
It doesn't have to be pretty, but it's exactly how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like on my videos, sometimes my child is literally crawling up the side of my body and like pushing my face in where I look like I have a fishy face. And I'm still talking to people, but that's what my daughter does. And I'm not going to dismiss my children. Like even my stepdaughter loves to come in the videos with me, and she starts telling stories and kind of interrupting me sometimes where I'm like, oh, don't interrupt me. But I'm like, you know what, whatever. She wants to tell the story about the snow hill. And so she tells her story about a snow hill. But my kids know what I'm doing. And even sometimes like when I'm on things like this, I monopolize nap time. My daughter is napping. Beautiful, I add, because I put her down before I hopped on here.
Yeah.
And so, which I know she's going to probably wake up in the next like 10-ish minutes. But, you know, she's still sleeping through it. And so I monopolize this time. And it's just giving yourself permission to do what you got to do and when you have to do, and just know that you don't have to apologize for how you show up and what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if you could give one message to all of our listeners, like all the women on here, if there was something that you just really want them to know, what would that be?
Just one message?
I guess you will do whatever you want.
I think the biggest thing is kind of just like it's going to encapsulate everything that we just talked about, but get clear on what it is that you want from life. Like, get very clear on what it is that you want from life and be very unapologetic about it, and then go after it without fear. And if you have fear, go after it a little bit harder. But I think a lot of times we're like so afraid to take the leap to join, you know, the business, or to launch our own business or do the thing. And, you know, at the end of the day, when you know, lay on your deathbed, and as like gruesome as that is, like, you know, what is your life going to look like? And, you know, did you go after what you wanted, or did you play it safe? So I think just getting really clear on what it is that you want out of life and going for it, just do it. Yeah.
I love it. That is, well, for all of
that was divine intervention. That was divine.
That was so good though. I'm like, yes, more.
No, just get clear on it, like very crystal clear.
And you know, the universe loves clarity and loves being clear on what those things are.
Clarity and action. Those are the key points to manifesting. Yeah.
So for all the listeners on here, where can they find you? So if they're really connecting with you and jiving with this conversation, where can they find you hanging out so that they can connect with you more?
So I hang out more on Instagram. I love Instagram. Instagram stories is my jam. They can find, it's at lauren.co, or wait, no, sorry. Pregnancy brain. No, it's at laurenmegan.co. And will you put the link there, or should I spell it out for them?
No, I'm going to put the link in
Okay.
like the bio for people to see. So,
Okay, cool. Perfect. And then my Facebook community is the Divine Sister Society. So you can just search that. Or you can go to my website to find out how to work one-on-one with me or figure out any programs I'm launching. I did just release a free journal on there. So it's like a 7-day journal prompt. So that's the Soulful Journal, but you can go to laurenmegan.com and find out anything that I'm working on and get all the goods there. So yeah, everything's pretty much Lauren Megan. Just search Lauren Megan. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here and doing this episode. This was good. And I love that we touched on many different things in regards to manifestation, meditation, spirituality, the new moon. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on here. And so everybody, I will see you all in the next episode.
Thank you, Kara.